Hi, assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Very good. All right. Today we continue talking about narrative writing, narrative paragraph writing, and today we'll focus particularly on verb tenses in narration. As you know that narrative writing or narrative is generally about storytelling. So we are narrating things that happened in the past, okay, and therefore it is important that we pay attention to our verb tense use, okay. What are the sorts of verb tenses and how they interact together, these verb tenses, in order to describe or narrate events in the past. It's a familiar topic to you, but it's always important to highlight these important issues in your writing, okay. All right, today we're looking at 4 types of tenses, and the first one is the simple past tense. When do I use the simple past tense? This is an easy question. When do I use the simple past tense? Yes, please.
There's an action that started and finished with the one.
Okay, very nice. So it is about describing an action that happened and finished and completed in the past. So it's basically, it is used to express a completed action at a definite point. Could be yesterday, could be last week, could be 3 hours ago, it could be last year, and so on. So it's a definite time in the past, and it is also used to describe a sequence of events. Let's see. So if we imagine that the moment of talking is now, okay, this moment of talking, and then we have, of course, on the limit, so line, the future, all the events, number 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all past actions, okay, and therefore they are used, or they should be used, or the verb tense is used should be in the past. Number 2, 3, or 4 are all past simple tenses and are complete actions in the past. Let's consider this sentence. Muhammad was driving along the road when suddenly he saw. So not sees, not will see, of course, when he saw a camel run out in front of him. He braked, okay, he braked as hard as he could, but could not stop in time. That the car hit, the past tense of hit. The car hit the camel, the man got out, not gets out, got out of the car and checked to see if the animal was so as we can see, these are a sequence of events in the past, and they all describe completed actions in the past. So you will notice that all the verbs are in the verb past, simple past tense. This is another example. The 2 men were crossing the desert when they heard, not here, heard a long bang. It sounded like a rifle, but they were not sure. They heard another shot, but this time something hit the side of the car. Now they were sure at that time, not now at this moment, at that time they were sure it was a gunshot. Okay, so we see here all verbs in the past because we are narrating things that happened and completed, that happened and finished in the past. Okay, all right. Now we come to a second type of verb tenses, which is the past continuous. What is the past continuous tense? Of course, past continuous simple tense, if we want to be very specific. When do I use the past continuous tense? Yes, please.
It's used in an action
that was progressing at some point for some time in the past. So it was, that's why we call it past continuous or progressive. That was, it was progressing, it was going on for some time in the past, not in the present, in the past tense. Okay, so it is used for an action that was in progress, that was continuing for some time, and is usually used with an action with an action in the past. So if we look at now, of course, future now. So number 2 is in the past continuous. It was progressing in the past. So this is the simple past tense But at the same time, there was also something that was continuing for 5 hours, for 2 minutes, for 1 week, and so and so. Let's just consider this example. Muhammad was he was driving for some time along the road when suddenly he ran out of petrol. Okay, so this happened only once, but this was progressing for some time. So running out of petrol, and number 2 is the driving. He was driving for some time along the road in the past. And the second example, as the 2 men were crossing, it's not just crossing one, so it is a time that was going on for some time. So the scene happens once, okay, whereas the going or the crossing was going on for some time. Notice that interaction between the past simple tense and the present past continuous. There is interaction, so they go along together, okay. A third one, when the lights went out, because they happened once. When the lights went out, I was talking to a friend or to my brother. So again, we have a past simple tense, and then there was something that was going on at the time of that event. Okay, this is use number 1. That is to say, going for some action or an action that was going on for some time. Yes, please.
I think a past action cut the past progress.
Okay. Yes, of course, yeah. So, because we have the interaction, there was something going on, and then there was something that happened at that time when that thing was progressing. Okay, so you're right, you're completely right, of course. The second use for past continuous tense is something that we do in storytelling, which is setting the scene. Okay, setting the scene. What was the situation like when something at some point so it is used for setting the scene. It is used to describe the situation, in other words, in which the events of the narrative of the story were happening. So again, number 2 is the scene, that what was happening at that time. Let's just consider this example. When I woke up at 8 a.m., what was happening?
The sun was shining.
What was the scene? The sun was shining, and the birds were, that was the scene, okay? That was the situation. So I use it in the past continuous tense to describe the setting, that situation at that time. I had a shower, I ate some breakfast, and left for work at 9 a.m. or 9, and so on, okay? So the second use for the past simple tense, especially in narrative writing, is to set the scene, okay? Alright, now we have the third type of past tense, verb past tense, which is the past perfect simple. When do I use it, the past perfect simple?
Yes.
Of course, you studied this before. Yes, Ima, please.
Action that happened and finished before a specific
Okay, so very nice. So when we're talking about 2 past events in the past, the earlier of the 2 is in the past perfect, which is had plus the past participle. So when we're talking about 2 actions, the earlier, the first of the 2 is in the past perfect. Okay? So it is an action, or it shows an action or a situation happened before something or another event in the past. So if we consider 1, 3, 4, and 5 are past actions in the past, number 2 is in the past perfect because it happened earlier, it happened before. For example, when I woke up at 8 a.m., the sun was shining and the birds were singing, I had slept. So the sleeping happened before waking up. Okay, I had slept really well that night before I had a shower, ate breakfast, and blah 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 blah. So here the sleeping is number 2. Is that right? Yes, here the sleeping is number 2, and therefore it is I had slept for some time or really well last night. Okay? Another example, the car was speeding down the deserted highway when the accident happened. What happened? The driver had fallen asleep. Okay? The falling asleep of the driver happened before the accident. Okay, and that's why we said he had fallen asleep before he had the accident. Okay, the driver had fallen asleep at the wheel and driven straight into a tree. Okay, and the third example, I woke up at 7 and left for work. I had a shower and had eaten. Okay, so the eating and shower happened before going to work, and that's why we use the past perfect simple tense. Okay, had plus the past participle. Is this clear?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, the last one, okay, is something we call the past perfect continuous. What is it made of? It's made of had plus been plus the past participle. Had been ing, sorry, the present participle, not the past participle. So had been going, had been driving. Okay, so let's just say had plus been زائد verb plus ing. Okay, had been because it's the past perfect, ing because it is continuous. So it is a mix of continuous and perfect tenses together. Okay, so when do I use it? It's basically, yes please.
To express the duration of an action.
Very nice. It's very much like the past perfect simple tense, except I am focusing on
Duration.
the duration, that it took longer time than thought or something like that. So I am focusing on the time length, okay, that it is a longer activity, that is to say that duration. Okay, so it is used for longer activity, that activities that were happening continuously up until a specific time in the past. So number 2 is in the past perfect continuous. Let's see an example. He looked very tired. Why? Because he had been working very hard. He had been working very hard, so it is a longer. I could say he had worked hard, but I am focusing on that. He spent a really longer time working. That's why I said he had been working over the past 3 weeks. Okay, another example. He hadn't heard the telephone ring because why? He had been reading. I could say he had read, but because I am focusing on the duration, on the time length, I am using he had been reading. Okay? So these are actually the 4 types of verb tenses in the past that we should actually be using all the time whenever we're writing about storytelling. So it is past perfect continuous, past perfect simple, okay? And then we have the past continuous, and then we have the simple past tense. Is this clear? Alright. Now, let's do some activities. These are familiar topics to you, but again, I'd like you to pay attention to these ones. Alright? Let's do the first activity. I'd like you to correct the verb between brackets. And think about these 4 tenses that we might use in these situations. Okay? Alright? Let's take some time and correct the verb tenses in each one between the brackets. So it's very much like a story here. It's about a bank robbery. So what happened? Try to imagine the situation, the different events and how they interacted together, and focusing on the verb tenses here. Are we finished? Okay, are we done? This should not be difficult. Alright, let's see the first one. Yes, please, over there in the back. Yes, please. Okay, very nice. So the police went. Completed action. The police went to the bank after a neighbor had phoned him or phoned him, had phoned him. Okay? Now if we just stick to the rule of using past perfect as had phoned them. Okay? Alright, we can say phone because after sort of arranges the events, but this is fine. Had phoned them to tell them what happened. Completed action in the past, so we need simple past tense. What happened? Alright. Very soon, can I say they were discovering? No, because it only happens once. There is no need for a continuous tense here. They soon discovered. They soon discovered that the robbers escaped or had escaped, because the escaping happened before the discovery. Okay, they soon discovered that the robbers had escaped. In a van, alright, in a stolen car. Alright, the men killed. Yes. Okay, the men killed. Not were killing. Okay, the men killed one of the guards who had been trying, or the exact one was trying. Why is it past continuous? Because it's clearly a past continuous. He was trying to do something, because it's a continuous thing. Alright? He who was trying to escape or to stop them. He was trying to stop them as they were driving, or even as they drove away. Okay? He was trying, they drove away and he was trying to stop them. Just imagine the situation here. As they drove away, or as they were driving, both are correct, I think. Okay? The guard jumped, because it happens once, not all the time. Okay? The guard jumped. The guard jumped out in front of them, but they just ran over him. Okay, but they just ran over. Because running again is not continuous. You just run a person, God forbid, once. Not just going back and forth on him. That would be really brutal. Okay, alright. Okay, alright. Alright, so we can see that we use different past tenses in interaction, in conjunction with each other in a seamless way That would be very nice if you could do that. All right, let's do the same thing. Let's correct the verbs between the brackets in each one of these cases, in each one of these sentences. Please, go ahead. Let's see the first one. Suddenly. Okay, this is another situation that we need to consider here. Alright, would you like to try? Yes, please.
Suddenly they hear a sound.
They heard. Yes, bravo, Aliki. They heard a strange noise and looked. Yes, alright, and looked at each other. Alright, in terror. Okay, what happened all evening? Yes, please.
All evening they had been playing cards.
Very nice. They had, I could say they were playing. This is fine. But I'm talking about all evening. So it just indicates that it is a very long activity. It's a longer duration of time. So all evening they had been playing cards and watching. There is no need to say have been watching. They all had been playing and watching TV without thinking about or of the post. Okay, so had been playing cards because it's all evening, all night. Let's see. Number 2. Yes, please.
After I had finished my lunch, I completed.
Very nice. So we're talking about 2 time events. Okay, this is earlier, so it has to be in the past. But after I had finished, what happened? I continued work. Okay, I could say after I finished, but this is the exact rule that we need to really to master here. Past perfect simple tense. Number 3. As soon as. Yes, please.
As soon as I got home, my brother was going out.
Most of you said no, was going out, went out. Okay, this is fine, was going out. That's a bit awkward, I think. As soon as I got home, my brother went out. So this has happened first, and this happened next. Okay, we're talking about تراتبية. I'm after another, one after another. My brother went out. Okay, so I am arranging time in order. First event, second event, after that, and so on. Okay. Number 4, the children. The children had. Yes, please. Yes, please.
The children had to stay
until
the rain stopped.
Until the rain stopped, or until the rain had stopped. Okay, both are correct. Until the rain had stopped, or the train stopped. Okay. Okay. Alright. Just think about. I know that verb tense is sometimes tricky and sometimes can be confusing, but just order events in your mind. Which one happened before the other, and which one happened after, and so on. Did they happen together at the same time, and so on. This will help you know which tense is to use. Okay. Finally, while
I was playing football, I heard noise.
Exactly. So going on for some time. While I was playing football, I hurt. I hurt my leg. So hurting happens once. Playing football was going on for some time. Okay? Alright, let's see. Oh yes, there's someone. Alright, there's someone. Yes, please. Alright, let's see. Number 6. Number 6. Alright, yes please, here, please.
My landlord
Through me.
Out of my flat because I hadn't paid the rent for 6 months.
Very nice. I had not paid the rent for 6 months, so I could say I did not pay. No problem in saying I did not pay the rent for the past 6 months. So
Can I say I didn't pay for 4?
yes, I had not paid. Yes, I had not paid or I did not even say I did not pay the rent for the past 6 months. Both are correct, by the way. Okay? Let's see number 7. When I eventually got to the meeting, I was bad-tempered and very tired, exhausted. I sit in traffic jam for 45 minutes. A motorist okay, bump into me and I get completely lost. Okay, so imagine the situation. That would be something like, please. I was sitting in traffic jam for, okay, but what do you think I had been sitting? Because I was very tired and exhausted. So 45 minutes is a very long time because I wanted to go to the meeting. So I had been sitting. That's why I was very furious and exhausted. I had been sitting in traffic jam for 45 minutes. A motorist happens once, bumped into me. Okay, a motorist means a driver into me, and I got completely lost, and I got completely lost. Okay, so we can see that I had been sitting in traffic jam, I got completely lost, and a motorist bumped into me. Let's see number 8.
Yes.
By the time, yes, Daddy, please.
By the time 5 o'clock arrived, Brenda was furious. She was
furious. She was very angry. Why?
Because
she
had been waiting for an hour.
Okay, she had been waiting for an hour. Fine. And she was waiting. Both are correct. She was waiting for an hour. Drink or drank? Drank 6 cups of tea, and yet they had not arrived, or they did not arrive. Both are correct. So she had been waiting, or she was waiting. Both are correct. Okay, it's just where you emphasize things. Drank 6 cups of tea, and yet they had not arrived. They did not arrive. Both are also correct. Alright? Is this clear? Yes, please.
Why did you use had been paying?
It's a bit awkward. I had not been paying, which is fine, I think, also, because we're talking, if you're focusing, this is the difference between past perfect simple and past perfect continuous. When you're not using the continuous, your focus is on the time length, on the duration of something. But it's very much like the use of past simple tense. Both are correct, except that one is longer than the past perfect simple tense. Okay? Alright. Let's see the last, I think, of these activities. And again, this is a story. Alright? And we need to complete this story. The unlucky thief, or the unlucky burglar. Okay? The unlucky burglar. Alright, just imagine the situation, because this will put you in context for this story. One evening, Paul, the television, and so on. So please read and correct the verbs in brackets, please. Alright, let's see. The unlucky burglar. This is an interesting story that narrates a sequence of events. Let's start with you, please. Yes. One evening.
Paul was watching the television.
Okay, is that correct? Paul was watching?
Yes.
Perfect. Yes. Paul was watching. Paul was watching television and eating. Okay. Was watching and eating. Continue, please.
When the door suddenly opened.
When the door suddenly opened. Okay, when the door suddenly opened. And a burglar came in. Okay. And a burglar came in. Not coming in, came in because it happens once. Okay. Alright, next. Yes, please. He was wearing a situation that was going on. He was wearing a mask and carrying. He was wearing and carrying a sack. Carrying a sack. Alright. Before doing anything, yes please. Before doing anything, he tied. Very nice. He tied Paul to the sack. Okay. Oh, he had tied. Okay, this is fine. Both are correct. Okay. He had tied or tied. Very nice. Very good point. Alright. Abi, please. Although, very nice. He did not find, although he didn't find, sorry, any money. He found a lot of jewelry. He found a lot of jewelry. Okay. Alright, which he put in the past, which he put into his sack. Okay. Alright. Afterwards, in his rush to get down the stairs, he didn't see. Yes, he did not see. He didn't see the dog that lied or was lying. It was going on for some time. That was lying. Very nice. That was lying at the bottom of the stairs, and he fell. It happens once. He fell over it, and he fell over it. Okay. Alright. Afterwards, losing his glasses. Okay. Okay. When the burglar, so here there is when.
Yes.
When the burglar looked. Sorry, not when. Why? Sorry, I forgot to put here. While. Yes, I forgot to put while. While the burglar was very nice, was looking for them. Paul tried, or even was trying. Okay, was trying, or tried both. Depending on your perspective here. If it's just tried once or was it trying for some time, depending on your perspective as a writer. Paul was trying to free himself. Finally, so now it was trying. Finally he managed, means he succeeded. Finally he managed to escape, and he phoned the police. When the burglar found his glasses, what happened? He ran. A sequence of events. He found and then ran. Okay? However, unfortunately for him, the police were waiting for him or had been waiting for him. Very nice. The police have been waiting. Have been waiting for him at the end of the garden or at the gate of the garden. So we can see here a mix of verb tenses that are used in a narrative, in a storytelling sort of text. Okay, so make sure that whenever you're writing about verb tenses or in the past, narrative writing, make sure that you have a good command of different tenses in the past that you are required to use. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time, and have a nice day. Thank you.